1985. Wiltshire police prevented the peace convoy, a convoy of several hundred New Age travellers, from setting up their 1985 Stonehenge Free Festival in Wiltshire, England. The police were enforcing a High Court injunction obtained by the authorities prohibiting the 1985 festival from taking place. Around 1,300 police officers took part in the operation against approximately 600 travellers. There was a convoy of about 150 vehicles going down the motorway. When you've got a convoy going, you have a lot of big vehicles making everything go really slowly. So they were basically taking up one lane of traffic. So the police didn't like this. The police also don't like peace, because if everybody's peaceful, they are out of a job. See? Peace will never be a thing on this planet if police still exist. Police are there to make us angry. That's the reality that we're living in. Peace will never be allowed if the police exist. The peace convoy, they're making their way to Stonehenge to have a free party. There's some squatted land on the other side of the road near Stonehenge. It's an age-old tradition where you would go to the stones and kind of celebrate. And people still do it to this day. This year, it was shut down as well because of COVID. How convenient. This is in 1985. The hippie movement's very much died down because of the laws against the drugs that everyone was taking, and it's kind of scared everyone into submission. So everyone that didn't run away to Goa or to San Francisco, they remained in the UK and they travelled. Everyone like kitted out these buses and vans and made these beautiful, beautiful homes on wheels, and they would kind of just gypsy around and just, you know, be free. And obviously the police don't like this. They don't like this at all. They don't like happy people. Right, I'll continue reading so you can know what actually happened. So the convoy of travellers heading to Stonehenge encountered resistance at a police roadblock 7 miles from the landmark. Police claim that some traveller vehicles then rammed police vehicles in an attempt to push through the roadblock. This doesn't sound true. Doesn't sound true at all. Around the same time, police smashed the windows of the convoy vehicles and some travellers were arrested. The rest broke into an adjacent field and a standoff consequently developed that persisted for several hours. According to the BBC, police said that they came under attack, being pelted with lumps of wood, stones and even petrol bombs. The travellers were not armed with petrol bombs and the police intelligence suggested was false. Try and picture this. There's a bunch of hippies going down the road. And they're not called hippies anymore, they're called New Age travellers. They're going down the road to have a free party, meaning they're just going to go and occupy a field for a week and enjoy themselves. Police, they want something to do. They hate hippies, and they do everything they can to make the laws as accessible for them so that they can beat up hippies, so they can attack hippies. So what do? They set up roadblocks. They set up 2 roadblocks. One near the motorway, so they couldn't get to the rocks. And then another one where they turned off and tried to go down a different road. And then as soon as they got to the roadblocks, they claimed that the hippies rammed into them. I highly doubt this. The vehicles they were driving were not the best. If you try and ram something with it, it's going to break your vehicle. So I doubt anyone was willing to risk their home by crashing it into a police car. That just sounds like they made it up so that they could start the attack. They'd already planned to attack them. They had riot gear, shields and truncheons. Now in the UK, police don't have guns, so all they can do is beat you. They can just smash you, and that does a lot of damage. Also, the convenient thing about beating someone is that you cannot really be held accountable, because while you're being beaten you can't identify the people that are doing it. According to reports, a lot of the badge numbers were missing. It's the same kind of tactics that are happening today. These riot police decided to smash every single vehicle that was on that road, and they arrested 532 people, I believe, and it was the most arrests on a single day in the UK since World War II. That record has since been passed by Extinction Rebellion, so congrats, Extinction Rebellion. 532 people were arrested. They basically, I'll play some video for you guys to see, but they were basically smashing these vehicles to pieces. All the windshields, they were shouting, get out, hand over your keys, but there were multiple commands at the same time, so the people didn't have time to react. There was no conversation, there's no discourse. Well, the riot police just attacked. Police are the mafia, that's who they are. You just have to be aware of that when you're trying to call them for help. They are the mafia. You're asking the mafia for help. You should be aware of that. I found footage of one of the travellers being taken on a stretcher by an ambulance. He had fractured skull. Just to give you an idea of how hard these attacks were. They were ripping people out of their homes. And some of them were pregnant women, and some of them had children in their arms, and they're still being beaten by truncheons. Like, these police just didn't care. This was their plan. They deliberately blocked the road, forcing these people to go onto private land. They went onto a bean field. That's why it's called the Battle of the Bean Field. They went onto this private land and were kind of trapped there. and then they circle them and just beat them. I'll put photos and some video. I don't want to put too much video because it's quite distressing, but I'll put some photos up to show you kind of what happened.
Didn't do anything, mate. They smashed me windows. They hit me on the head with truncheons. Then they hit me when I was on the floor.
And yeah, it's a peace convoy, and because they're wearing these uniforms, it doesn't seem like anyone was held accountable. I believe 20 people took them to court and won, but the money that they were compensated went into the legal fees, so they didn't actually get away, they didn't come out in the green, they didn't win anything. So the background of these New Age travellers, they were British travellers, a movement developed in the 1970s with the intended purpose of attempting to create an alternative way of life. Travellers maintain themselves partly by travelling between, organising and trading at free festivals. So I'm just going to read a report of someone who was there witnessing this. The final assault began at 7 PM, by which time all the officers had changed into riot gear. Pregnant women were clubbed with truncheons, as were those holding babies. The journalist Nick Davis, then working for The Observer, saw the violence. They were like flies around rotten meat, he wrote, and there was no question of trying to make a lawful arrest. They crawled all over, truncheons flailing, hitting anybody they could reach. It was extremely violent and very sickening. When some of those remaining tried to get away, driving their vehicles through the bean fields, the police threw anything they could lay their hands on, fire extinguishers, stones, shields and truncheons, at them in order to bring them to a halt. The empty vehicles were then systematically smashed to pieces, and several were set on fire. The police set fire to the peace convoy's vehicles.
These bobbies stopped me and forcibly spun me round and made me look. They said, "See that?" And I looked at my home, and there was smoke coming out the side doors, and they'd gone and set my home on fire. And stopped me and turned me round and made me look at my home. The flames coming and the smoke coming out the sides.
7 healthy dogs belonging to the travellers were put down by officers. They murdered dogs and burnt vehicles. And what was their crime? Trying to visit some stones. It's funny how police are defending these stones as if they understand the properties of the stones. The only people that would understand is probably the peace convoy. They probably have a better idea of how the stones work than these cops pretending to defend it. If you really think about it, these cops aren't trying to defend anything. They just wanted an excuse to beat some people up. Some defenseless people that aren't armed whatsoever. Peace convoy. In total, 537 people were arrested. All those arrested were charged with obstruction of the police and the highway, but most of the charges were dismissed in court. So yeah, just wanted to bring this to you guys' attention. I'm going to be diving into more of the hippie culture in the past. I want to keep researching and find out why it all failed. Why did the psychedelic revolution #1 not work? Why did they not find peace? I'm sure as I dive into the past, especially here in the UK, and figure out what happened, I'm probably going to come across a lot of police brutality. Right now, police brutality is kind of a hot topic, so I think it's important to show that this stuff has been happening forever. The police are the mafia. They are thugs. They are terrorists. They are not here to serve us. You have to remember that. When you call them for help, they don't have your best interest at heart. They like to terrorize. They are terrorists. Soon, what little freedom of speech we have will be taken away from us. So I'm saying everything now because I won't be able to say it in the future. So yeah, Battle of the Beanfield, I urge you to research it. Obviously viewer discretion is advised. It's not very pleasant watching these beautiful humans being attacked. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed this piece of history that I brought to your attention. 35 years ago that happened. That's probably the reason why you don't see large convoys of vehicles anymore. Because I don't ever see it. I don't ever hear about it. I don't see anything going on like that. Like 150 buses and vans of people living in. About 600 people lived in those vans. And the police destroyed all of them. That's 600 people that are now homeless and can't travel freely. And a lot of them were hospitalized. So was justice served to protect some rocks? These people wanted to celebrate life, and they were beaten into submission. And since then I haven't really seen any kind of convoys like that, so I think that's the reason that we don't see this kind of hippie revolution kind of sprouting in the same way it did before. It's because people are afraid. We've been conditioned to fear the police. I believe that stuff like this will happen again, soon, very, very soon. I believe convoys of people will gather, millions of people will gather peacefully in a safe environment away from terrorists soon. I think it's going to happen. To celebrate life, to listen to music and art, play, do human wiggles together. I think it's going to happen again. Like I'm calling it now. Psychedelic Revolution number 2. It's going to be way more organized, way smarter, and a lot safer than the past. And I think for that we need a police reform. We need to dismantle the current police system and rethink it. Do we even need police? Can we not just govern ourselves? Anyway, that's it for today. If you want to watch yesterday's video, click there on the screen. If you want to watch my new main channel video, which is all about Mormonism, just posted that today. Click down there and subscribe. I'm here every day. Thank you for turning on notifications. Thank you for liking. Thank you for leaving that wonderful comment that you're currently typing. And I'll see you guys in tomorrow.